Michigan Wolverines, Ben. Ceiling 12-0. I think your floor is probably about 10-2. And I think your prediction's 12-0. I maybe you lose to Penn State. Maybe you lose to Ohio State. That's probably your floor. Like, you're freaking, like, you hit the floor, rock bottom. You're cleaning public school bathrooms as a 55-year-old grown woman.
You said you had no 12-0 teams.
Oh, I'm an idiot. 12-0 is my ceiling.
Uh-huh.
My floor is 10-2.
Right.
My prediction is 11-1. My prediction is 11-1.
It's fine.
Penn State loss. Penn State loss is there.
It's fine. I'm not
At Penn State, in Death Valley, I think that's a game that a lot of Michigan fans that I talk to, a lot of Michigan fans that I've heard, they're saying they're more scared of Penn State in Happy Valley. Yeah. In that game, probably going to be a whiteout. Like, that game is going to be elite, electric game. One of the last weeks of the season, gearing up for the big game. I think you lose to Penn State, although I wouldn't be surprised if Michigan just comes out there, runs them by 24 points like they did last year.
Yeah. And, you know, that is kind of what I have happening. Not really the wiping, but they beat them. I've seen 12-0 floor, 10-2. There's no way they lose 2 games.
Yeah, I don't think they lose 2 games.
Actually, I think they could lose 2 games. There's no way they lose under 2 games.
Yeah.
Prediction 12-0.
Yeah.
I've got this team. I said it. They have a thing that most teams don't have, which is the ability to win the game on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
And that is what you want to make a run. You have a quarterback who has shown what he can do, has potential, a top running back duo in the country, young but smart secondary.
A secondary that's underrated, in my opinion. We talked about Will Johnson, right? But you got Mike Sanders still coming back, right? You got Rod Moore coming back, right? You got R.J. Moten in the secondary. He was a starter last year. Like, the secondary is good, right? Will Johnson, Ben, you had him as a breakout star earlier on in the offseason. Like, I really do like this team. We're talking skill positions. Cornelius Johnson, Roman Wilson, Darius Clemens, like, all these guys out wide. Like, they're really good, right? Not to mention, like you said, Ben, like, we continue to talk about probably the best running back duo in college football.
Yeah, and, you know, there's not really anything I can compare it to the top closest. Ohio State.
Maybe.
Anybody else close?
But I think
there's a team out there I'm just not thinking
I think you explained it the best, right? I think Ohio State is probably up and down the most talented team in college football, right? I think you have a lot of talented players, like you said, like Jack Sawyer, JT Tuimoloau, like all these guys going to be able to compete. Probably one of the best in their position in college football. QB is still a question mark, but Michigan's got the opportunity and the ability to win the ball on offense and win the ball on defense. Like, these guys can win games on both sides of the ball, and that's what makes them so good, is that they can win on offense, then they can go get you a stop, and then their offense is explosive. They're going to run clock down. They're going to run the football. JJ McCarthy can throw the ball when he wants to. He's a game manager, but I think he's more than that. I think he's a really solid QB. I think he's good enough to take this team to a national championship, Ben.
I completely agree. And something that I was not sure about JJ McCarthy, and I was a bit ruffled, but then the game last year, he showed out, and he was slinging the ball. He wanted TCU game. He was doing that too. So he has shown that he is able to.
He did throw a pick six, though, to Bud Clark.
There was like 4 pick sixes that game. He has shown, though, that he is willing to pass the ball and throw it around. And that's something that, like, I like to see. Stetson Bennett, Stetson Bennett kind of was the same, where you'd be like, okay, I mean, he's a game manager, but then some games, he come out slinging. Yeah. So it is interesting. This Michigan team has the potential to go all the way.
Up front on defense, spring game, when we broke down spring games, we did recaps on that stuff, Ben. We talked about the defensive front for Michigan. We talked about the tight end room for Michigan, right? Obviously, you lose Luke Schoonmaker. I think he was a third-round pick to the Cowboys. He's going to end up there. He was a huge piece for this Michigan offense in 2022. So 2023, it's going to be Colston Loveland. It's going to be A.J. Barner. I think Colston Loveland, he's an underclassman. He was the guy that I saw the most of in spring game. I think I like him the most as a receiving threat. But a gritty tight end room. What else for Michigan? All around, really talented football team. Like I said, I'm losing one game. I think it's hard to go back-to-back 12-0 regular seasons, and that's not an easy thing to do. So I understand 12-0. I can see it. It definitely could happen. 98% could happen. But 11-1, I think you beat Ohio State in the big game again. And I think this team is a national championship appearance team.
You're a contender.
When are we going to do college football playoff predictions? Because I've got my freaking Final Four.
We already did it.
We did?
Who was our top 4 contenders?
Yeah, well, we didn't really like. I would say, here's my playoff situation, Ben. Let me put the banner back up here. That was Michigan. All right, that was Michigan. I think.